Tonight on Reporting Scotland, a woman admits allowing a young girl to drive a car through an Aberdeenshire village. Sophie Lee Gemmell admitted culpable and reckless conduct after footage of the incident emerged on social media last year. Also on tonight's programme, a family pays tribute to their bold and adventurous boy. 15-year-old Alexander died in a paddleboarding incident in Loch Orr in Fife at the weekend.
It's very isolating being unable to go outside your own house when you want to go outside.
We hear from Lucas Honey, who says he's been unable to leave his home unaided for 6 months because a housing association hasn't provided an accessible door. Wildfires in the Highlands and Moray lead to road closures, and nearby residents have been asked to keep doors and windows shut.
And coming up in the sport, mixed fortunes for the Scots in action on day one of Wimbledon.
Hello, I'm Laura Goodwin. Welcome to Monday's programme. A woman who allowed a child under the age of 10 to drive a car on a public road through an Aberdeenshire village has admitted culpable and reckless conduct. 32-year-old Sophie Lee Gemmell admitted the charges after footage of the incident was seen on social media. Ben Phillip has this report.
We've blurred this video for legal reasons. It shows a young girl driving. She's barefoot, it's dark, the wipers are on, and she's under 10 years old. At Peterhead Sheriff Court earlier, 32-year-old Sophie Lee Gemmell admitted allowing the child to drive on a public road in poor weather in July last year. She pled guilty to culpably and recklessly and with utter disregard for the consequences, allowing this to happen to the danger of others and in particular the child.
The charge describes how the car was driven here in the Aberdeenshire village of Crimond. In the video shared on social media, the car can be seen turning off the main road which runs through the village and onto Logie Road, and Gemmell can be heard cheering in the background. Sophie, are you sorry for what's happened? What were you thinking? Do you have anything to say at all?
Gemmell declined to comment. She'll be sentenced at the end of July. Ben Phillip, Reporting Scotland, Peterhead.
A 15-year-old boy who died while paddleboarding on a loch in Fife has been named as Alexander McNabb. Alexander was reported missing at Loch Orr Meadows and Cross Hill. His body was recovered from the water yesterday. Alexander's family say he was caring, adventurous and hard-working and will be forever missed by all who knew and loved him. Hope Webb reports.
It's quiet here tonight at Loch Orr, but on Saturday when this tragedy unfolded, it was a sunny evening and people were here enjoying the lovely surroundings. A major search operation was launched at 5:30 when emergency services were alerted to the fact that 15-year-old Alexander had disappeared while out on the water here on a paddleboard. Now, a Coast Guard helicopter and Coast Guard rescue teams were all launched from St Andrews, Leven as well as Queensferry. They were involved in that search, and airspace in the surrounding area was also closed off at the time. But it wasn't until yesterday lunchtime that Alexander's loved ones got any news from the search here. His body was found in the water just before 1:30. His family have now released a statement through Police Scotland. It says that Alexander was much loved, caring, adventurous, bold, hard-working, ambitious and always looked out and cared for others. It goes on to say that he will be forever missed by those that knew and loved him. Police Scotland says that no suspicious circumstances are thought to be involved in this case, and a report will now be submitted to the Procurator Fiscal.
Hope Webb reporting. Fire crews have spent a large part of the weekend and today tackling multiple wildfires in the north of Scotland. The first was reported on Saturday in the Cairngorms National Park, with firefighters spending 2 nights tackling the blaze. Another near Forest broke out this morning. Well, our reporter Chris McLennan joins us from Davermoor in Moray. Chris, what is the latest where you are tonight?
Yeah, good evening, Laura. So you actually joined me near the Davamere Snowgates. Now this wildfire behind me here, it's actually one of the smaller incidents. Now the incident that's drawing the most resource, that's further inland towards Forres. Now we've been unable to get there due to a number of roads being closed, and the safety advice from police and the fire service is for people to avoid the area. Now, as we say, the roads have been closed off there, but firefighters have spent most of the day trying to bring that fire under control, but they've faced some challenging conditions. As you can see, it's similar terrain to this. It's really kind of tough to get there, and also there's strong winds that have been driving in the fire. Now, locals in the area have been urged to keep their windows and doors closed. That's to avoid smoke entering homes. But there is a bit of good news on the horizon. There is rain forecast for this evening. It's started in the last wee while, and it's hoped that that might help to assist efforts both here and further along at Forres.
Yeah, and tell us about those other wildfires.
Yeah, that's right. Well, over the course of the weekend, we had a fire that spanned 5 to 6 miles. That broke out near Dava in the Cairngorms National Park. Now, firefighters and gamekeepers, they spent 2 nights trying to tackle the flames there. Now, that wildfire was extinguished today, but we have had other incidents, as you mentioned. There was one down near Carr Bridge. But for the Cairngorms National Park Authority, where a number of these fires took hold, the message is for people to really act responsibly.
First of all, our message is still people to come and to enjoy themselves. Of course, we're still going to welcome people to the national park, but really in the circumstances, fires are not appropriate. There's too many risks from people having fires, so our ranger services and our partners ranger services are out there day in, day out, trying to get that message across to people. The key thing is come and enjoy yourself, but please don't have a fire. It's not appropriate in the circumstances and in these locations.
Now, fortunately, we've not had any incidents reported of any major damage to property, and there have not been any reports of injuries. But there will no doubt, with the incidents like here and further along at Forres, have been an impact to local wildlife. Now, calls are also being made tonight for the Scottish Government to activate its resilience room in response to these incidents. And what that would do is it would focus resources on this area to help assist. But the hope really is tonight, with an anticipated change in weather, that things will begin to settle both here and further along at Forres in the next few hours.
OK, Chris, many thanks indeed, and we'll have a full weather forecast at the end of the programme. Now, thousands of rail passengers have had their journeys cancelled or disrupted after the West Coast main line was blocked by falling trees. Engineers are still working to clear the line and repair the damage. Our correspondent David Henderson is at Glasgow Central Station for us this evening. David, what's the latest?
Well, Laura, work is still ongoing to clear this key transport corridor. This should have been a very, very busy day on the West Coast main line, with thousands of passengers travelling through this station and along this platform for work, and indeed now for holidays. But instead, services across the border were brought to a standstill for much of the day. That problem continues, and the problem is a stretch of line at Beattock in Dumfries and Galloway, which was blocked, we are told, by 4 trees which fell over one by one like dominoes, damaging overhead wires along a stretch of about 300 metres of line. So that's forced the rail operators to cancel services across the border. That disruption is expected to continue until late tonight, with engineers still working to clear the fallen trees and then to repair those damaged overhead power lines. In the meantime, passengers I've been speaking to here have been counting the cost.
Coming from Oban, I'm going to Southampton, so it's a long day anyway. So I didn't listen to it. I thought, just abandon it. I was supposed to go to a meeting in Southampton, and I think I can join it on Teams.
So I'm meant to be on the 1:30 train back to Preston to Chorley for my business that I teach yoga and wellness over in Chorley. So my classes this evening will all be cancelled.
Every time we come away for a weekend, be it Glasgow, Edinburgh, wherever, there's always problems with the trains. There's always problems with the trains. We're just thinking, no, it's just better driving.
And David, what have all those affected passengers been able to do about it?
Well, options have been fairly limited. One rail operator, TransPennine Express, couldn't run trains between Preston and Glasgow Central, but their passengers could use their tickets to travel on the East Coast Main Line instead. So there is a workaround for those willing to make that much longer journey. But for anyone who's travelling on Avanti West Coast services down between here and London, trains have not run, and so passengers have been told that they can get a refund if they are having to cancel their journey, or they can use today's ticket to travel tomorrow, provided services are restored by the engineers.
OK, David, many thanks indeed for that update. A 39-year-old man has been charged after an East Renfrewshire cemetery was vandalised. Police were called to St Conville Cemetery in Barrhead yesterday following reports of the damage. 40 headstones were targeted and a large wooden crucifix was set on fire. Today, families were at the cemetery to assess the damage.
It's just very emotional. Everybody's emotional. When I first arrived, I was emotional, but I'll need to clear it up, can't just leave it like this.
Just going round now and we're checking all the individual graves, and quite saddened to see some of the severe damage that's been done to some of the beautiful graves up here.
It's an attack on general civilised values. It doesn't matter if you're a believer or not. I think anybody who's a reasonable, decent, civilised human being will be disgusted at this. It should never happen. It should never.
Some of the day's other stories now. A Spanish court has authorised the release of the bodies of 2 Scottish gangsters who were shot dead in a bar on the Costa del Sol. Ross Monaghan and Eddie Lyons Jr. were killed in Fuengirola on the 31st of May. A 44-year-old man from Liverpool, Michael Riley, is facing extradition to Spain over the killings. The radio signal that controls RTS electricity meters will begin to be phased out from today. It was due to be completely switched off this week, but the UK government postponed the plan after concerns that thousands of households could be left without heating and hot water. Island community leaders have criticised a £4.4 million Scottish Government fund set up to support businesses affected by ferry cancellations, saying they're worried it won't go far enough. The island's Business Resilience Fund is available to only 8 of the 23 islands served by publicly owned ferry operator Calmac. The Scottish Government say the 8 islands were chosen because each had more than 15% ferry disruption over the last 3 summer seasons. Ailey Davis has more.
It's a lifeline service, but in recent times, ferry services serving Scotland's island communities have been hit by major disruption, with ferries cancelled, undergoing maintenance or being rerouted as Calmac grapples with an ageing fleet. Some businesses say financially it's been a struggle.
All we want is a decent ferry service running back and forth to the mainland so that people can enjoy the benefit of being able to travel.
For people like Angus, who export shellfish, it's a constant challenge to keep their businesses afloat.
Quite often in bad weather as well, as we all know what it's like here. Nothing easy, as I said before, and you just work you work around ferries basically, try and get the work done.
Awards will be between £3,000 and £35,000, but some businesses won't get anything, as the islands they live on are not included on the government's approved list.
Well, this scheme is just fundamentally unfair. It's picking winners and losers between islands, all of whom have been affected by the ferries crisis, all of whom deserve this money. So many businesses on all the islands are struggling, but the government have picked this arbitrary, really blunt measure of cancellations to try and decide which islands deserve that money.
Plans for the fund to become a regular source of support seem unlikely.
But my understanding is that this is a one-off. This is a recognition of very specific circumstances in the past, and as I say, the focus of all communities, elected representatives, is on making sure that the services are there to meet people's needs in future.
The scheme opens on Wednesday until the 1st of September, with decisions and payments expected by the end of October. Ailey Davis, reporting Scotland.
And there'll be more in that story in the news at 7. Amy's here to tell us more.
Hi, Laura. Yeah, exactly that. I was going to say we'll have more in that story. We're going to be joined by somebody from the South Uist Business Group just to find out exactly how disruptive, obviously, the ferry situation has been for people on the island there. And as well as that, we're going to be in Sanquhar this evening, finding out exactly about how Robert Burns' favourite pub, well, what was said to be, they claim it anyway.
You had a few, I think.
I know, it had a few, but certainly one in Sanquhar has been derelict for the last 40 years. And the Sanquhar Enterprise Group, they're trying to bring it back to life and exactly what their plans are for that. So they're going to be joining us on the programme tonight.
Sounds good. Thank you very much indeed. A wheelchair user says he's been trapped in his flat for 6 months after a housing association failed to provide an accessible entrance. Lucas Honey is still waiting for a door to be installed so he can get out of the property on his own. Until then, he needs someone to come and open the front door for him every time he wants to leave the building. Richard Forbes has been to Granton in Edinburgh to meet him.
Lucas moved into this flat 4 years ago. It's now his prison.
It's very isolating being unable to go outside your own house when you want to go outside. See if I can not smash the door.
As his health has deteriorated, he's become ever more reliant on his wheelchair to get around. Unfortunately, the main door to his block is too difficult for him to open on his own.
I have to line up with the door as best I can because there's only an inch to spare, and then try and push the button, and then someone has to open the door because if I push the door open I'll fall out of my chair, so I can't get out. Independence for disabled people is really important, and we face a lot of stigma around being lazy or relying too much on the government or other people. So when we try to get independence and we can't have it, it feels very hypocritical.
It's been 6 months since he could leave the house without someone's help.
I live alone, so I don't always have someone that can help me. And a lot of the people here work full time.
There have been suggestions that maybe he should move to another property that's easier to enter.
The housing crisis in the UK, in Scotland, is vast, but for disabled people it's more vast because there is so little accessible housing available. They want me to move house because that would be easier for them, because if I left they wouldn't have to fix the door.
The Housing Association told us it's treating Lucas as a priority and there are plans in place to install a fully accessible door.
All that they need to do is widen the door frame and put an automatic opener on it. It's not that big a fix. I'm not asking for lots of free things or extra things. I just want the door to open when I push a button so I can get out. Am I good?
Yeah. In the meantime, he has to depend on others to get outside.
If I could just go outside when I want to go outside, just go out for some fresh air or go meet a friend or go to the shop and get milk, it would just open up my life a lot more.
Lucas Honey speaking to Richard Forbes. Tonight's main news again. A woman who allowed a child under the age of 10 to drive a car on a public road through an Aberdeenshire village has admitted culpable and reckless conduct. 32-year-old Sophie Lee Gemmell admitted the charges after footage of the incident was seen on social media.
And still to come in the sport, Anne Budge will step down from her role as Chair of Hearts after more than a decade at Tynecastle.
Singer Lewis Kapaldi has announced a tour of the UK and Ireland with 2 dates in Scotland. It follows his emotional comeback at the Glastonbury Festival. He had taken time away to deal with his physical and mental health. Gillian Sharp reports.
Glastonbury, it's so good to be back.
Back on stage at Glastonbury, a big moment for the 28-year-old and the fans. He last appeared on the Pyramid stage 2 years ago, struggling to finish, later stepping away to deal with his health and a diagnosis of Tourette's syndrome. It was an affectionate return.
He really struggled to finish that set, so it's just so great to see him back. He seems really well. The crowd love him, so yeah, it's just so lovely to see him feeling better, hopefully.
It's so good being here as best friends together now, and it's so moving, like, to be in that moment. Laura said it's like the top 10 moments of her entire lifetime.
That was amazing. Yeah. To see obviously what had happened to him 2 years ago, yeah, that was heartbreaking. Everyone's been through like a really sad time, and I think it was really relatable. And obviously the fact that he's now come on and shown his face to the world again after what happened to him, it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people, basically.
And now the singers announced a UK and Ireland tour in September with 2 Scottish venues, one in Aberdeen and one here in Glasgow.
Oh, outstanding. Absolutely so proud of him. I think coming from Scotland, it's just everybody's behind him. So excellent, absolutely over the moon for him. Brilliant.
I seen it on the TV and it looked amazing. It looks really good, it looked lovely.
Saw a little clip of his performance from Glastonbury on Friday, and yeah, he sounded great. So yeah, it's nice to see him back.
And with a new single, Survive, just out, and the tour to come, Lewis Kapaldi is, in his own words, back, baby. Gillian Sharp, reporting Scotland.
Well, from one much-loved Lewis to another, you're here with the sport. No singing this time.
No singing this time, Laura. Sorry to disappoint, yes. But mixed news to bring you from Wimbledon as well. So some good, some bad.
We'll let you go then.
Thank you. Hello there. Yes, we'll start with the latest from Wimbledon as the most prestigious tournament in tennis gets underway in southwest London. And it's been a day of mixed fortunes indeed for the 2 Scots in the gents singles draw. Good news for Cameron Norrie, a former semi-finalist who's through to the second round. The 29-year-old, who reached the last 4 3 years ago and is a former top 10 player, has struggled for form in the last couple of years and isn't seeded. But he came through 4 tough sets against Roberto Batista Agut of Spain. And look at what it means to him on a swelteringly hot court 18. He takes on America's Francis Tiafoe in the next round. Great stuff there. However, it was a brief return to the All-England club for Jacob Fernley, the Scot who's risen hundreds of places in the world rankings in the past 12 months. He debuted at Wimbledon last year, losing to Novak Djokovic in the second round, but he lost his way against Brazilian teenager João Fonseca. 6-1, 6-1, 7-6, the score there. To football now, and Anne Budge is to step down as the chairperson of Hearts at the club's AGM in December. Budge played a pivotal role in saving the club from extinction in 2014 when she bought the majority shareholding at Tynecastle after Hearts went into administration. Budge, who's gradually stepped back from the day-to-day running of the club in recent years, says it's the right time for change. The announcement comes a week after Brighton owner Tony Bloom invested nearly £10 million in the Premiership side. Celtic have made their 4th signing of the summer, announcing a 4-year deal for Fulham striker Callum Osmond here. Osmond has represented both England and Wales at youth level and last season scored 18 goals for Fulham's under-21 side. He rejected a new contract at Craven Cottage to move to Glasgow. The Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers says the 19-year-old is a highly rated, talented young player. Rugby now, and Toulon scrum half Ben White says he hasn't stopped shaking after being called up as an injury replacement for the British and Irish Lions just as he was preparing to play for Scotland on Saturday. The 27-year-old got the call from Lions head coach Andy Farrell after Wales' Thomas Williams was forced off the field with a hamstring injury after scoring a try in the win over Western Force on Saturday. White was given the news at the Scotland training camp in Whangarei, New Zealand, where he was preparing to face the Maori All Blacks, Fiji and Samoa this summer.
Ben White, he's on his way, trying to get here as quick as he can. Ben, along with Blair Kingon, will be with us this evening also. He'll be devastated for Thomas, like we all are. But at the same time, he's super excited. He obviously had an ambition to get into the squad, as did many others who didn't get selected. So he gets his chance to come over and connect with the squad.
Well, Scotland have arrived in New Zealand and were given a traditional Maori welcome as they prepare for the first of their 3-match series. That's against the Maori All Blacks on Saturday, and the visitors are expecting a stern test in Whangarei.
I think we're under no illusions they're going to be really tough games. You know, like these teams are going to be really physical. They're going to be we're going to have to be really good to go and win each games. And I think where Gray's been really good is we've got a specific plan of what we want to come down here and do and how we want to go about doing it.
And Laura, more on Anne Budge, and from a man who knows her very well, I'll be speaking to Craig Levine in the situation at Hearts on the news at 7 shortly.
Great, we will tune over. Thank you very much,
Thanks,
Lewis. Right, time now for the all-important weather forecast, because as we're hearing, we've got those wildfires and they're hoping for rain in Murray and the Highlands. How's it looking?
There will be some rain tonight. It's already passing through parts of the northwest during this afternoon. It's going to continue to push southwards and eastwards, and quite an unsettled look to the weather over the next few days generally, Laura. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Well, it has been a day of mixed fortunes and big contrasts weather-wise. We've had cloudy skies, outbreaks of rain across much of the northwest today, a top temperature in the Western Isles of 14 Celsius. In the northeast, though, with the strong June sunshine and the air moving in off the near continent, very warm indeed, 26 Celsius. Tonight, as I was saying, that band of rain is going to continue to push its way southwards and eastwards. Heavy for a time, but weakening as it runs into an area of high pressure further south. It turns drier and clearer behind it during the early hours, and a little fresher too, which is a sign of things to come tomorrow. We do have a lot of cloud across eastern, some central and southern areas tomorrow. Some patchy rain initially, and then some heavy, possibly thundery downpours breaking out. A closer look tomorrow afternoon for the Northern Isles, a fine day of weather, plenty of brightness and sunshine. Some sunshine too for Sutherland, Caithness along the Murray coast. But as I was saying, eastern, central and southern areas, we have these clusters of showers tomorrow afternoon, heavy and potentially thundery. The best of the sunshine in the west and northwest, and a fresher feel across the board tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, and those showers continuing for a time, gradually easing overnight into Wednesday. For Wednesday itself, we have a ridge of high pressure in the southwest, but the occluded part of this frontal system is going to pep up the showers again as we go through the course of the day. So we have a fairly dry start, but the showers will break out during the course of the day. Heaviest and possibly thundery across northern and eastern areas. Don't rule them out though anywhere, and with light winds, if you do catch a shower, they'll be with you for quite a while. Some sunshine though in between the showers. And then Thursday, still that high pressure anchored to the south, a westerly airflow, and this cold front making inroads during the course of the day. But it's a dry start for many with some brightness and sunshine. Here comes that showery rain though, moving from west to east during the day, turning drier and brighter again behind it. Again, light winds and highs of around 16 to 19 Celsius. That's the forecast. Laura.
Kirstine, thank you very much. Now tonight's main news again. A woman who allowed a child under the age of 10 to drive a car on a public road through an Aberdeenshire village has admitted culpable and reckless conduct. I'll be here with your late news at around 10:30, but until then, from everyone on the team, do enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.